What's up, nerds and gamers from all walks of life? Just in case you didn't know, my name's Justin, and welcome to my channel, Just In Case Gaming. Now, we tried to get this video out a little earlier last week. However, life happened, but today we are going to be taking a deep dive, a little flip through D&D's newest campaign setting, the Icewind Dale Rime of the Frostmaiden, a cold and terrible adventure that is sure to give your players a terrifying experience. Great because Halloween is coming up, winter's around the corner. I can't think of a better game for you and your players to get scared in. So what do you say we head on over and take a look at the blizzard that is Icewind Dale Rime of the Frostmaiden. And here we are again, gamers, back at the whiteboard, and today we are going to be taking a look at the newest campaign setting from D&D. This is the Icewind Dale Rime of the Frostmaiden campaign book, and take a look at that artwork on the front. You have the cold crone and some wolves in the background, and this poor unfortunate soul that has either been frozen and tortured by her, or she just found him out there in the wastelands of the frozen tundra of the Icewind Dale. And here's the back. You have a little chwinga right there and some chartolin. And it says, "Some secrets are worth dying for." Now this adventure campaign setting will take you from levels 1 through 11, and it is for use with the 5th edition Player's Handbook, Monster Manual, and Dungeon Master's Guide. So let's go ahead. We're just gonna go and do a quick little flip through of the book. I don't want to have a whole bunch of spoilers or anything within this. So if you are a player and you know that your DM is going to be running Icewind Dale, you may want to not hear everything or see everything from this book. But if you're a DM and you're just wanting to kind of get a quick little overview of exactly what you're going to get with this book, stay tuned with me and I will show you exactly what is in it. So basically these first few pages, they are going to give you an exact overview of what you're going to be doing to run the adventure, running the NPC party members, how the adventure flow is going to go. You have an adventure flow chart right here. So you have the 10 towns, Icewind Dale, Sunblight, Destruction's Light, Auril's Abode, Caves of Hunger, and Doom of Ythrin? That's pardon me if I messed that up at all. Now, something that I really like about these this adventure book too, it gives you these different wilderness survival tables like avalanches and blizzards, and you have a little mini game that you can play wherever you go, if your DM so chooses, for fishing for knucklehead trout. And you also have extreme cold here, and what the overland travel is going to look like. You have dog sled, on foot with snowshoes, or on foot without snowshoes. And I think that the fact that they give you those different options is really cool. It also gives you a pronunciation guide for all the different names within the campaign, and character hooks and backgrounds for different characters or for your players. It also has, this book has what are called secret traits. So it's kind of like a deck of many things in a ways. So you can either write these different secrets out, and then before the campaign begins, during your session 0 or exactly whatever it is that it's going to be, you can hand these secrets out at random. They draw it kind of like from almost like a deck, or you could do it from a random drawing from a hat, and you get these different secrets. And these secrets all have many different aspects that can come to light throughout the campaign. Like you have the Slod host right here. The Slod host is that one of your player characters has a slod tadpole that has been embedded into their stomach, and in 2 months' time, unless they can do something about it, that slod is going to burst forth from their chest like a chest burster from Alien, and it's going to wreak havoc and destruction on your party and the 10 towns. Now, you have the 10 towns right here, and this is where a lot of the adventure is going to take place. This is where a lot of your NPCs are going to be. And the 10 towns are as follow: Bremen, Brynshander, Caer Dineval, Caer Konig, Dugan's Hole, East Haven, Good Meadow, Lonely Wood, Good Mead, Lonely Wood, Targos, and Tourmaline. And you can roll a d10 right there to see exactly where your players start out their adventure. And I think that that is pretty cool. You also have a table where you can hear rumors right here of some hooks to get them started on different adventures. And the artwork in this is gorgeous. There's a winter axe beak, and you have a crag cat right here that's stealing some knucklehead trout. There are also sacrifices to Auril, which Auril is the Frostmaiden, and she has many different forms within this adventure book. And I really like this character right here, Sefik Caltro, and he is the main villain for this quest right here, the Cold-Hearted Killer. You also have a adventure that has a little adventure hook that has chwingas in it, so you can start off with a little bit of whimsy. And here we have some information about Bremen. And let's go ahead and flip to here. And there's a lake monster quest within Bremen, where you have a plesiosaur that has been terrorizing the lake. And this is one of my favorite little characters in the book. This is Old Bitey. He's a knucklehead trout that was very difficult to fish out, and a mage put a curse on it that it'll sometimes come to life, and it will sing this little song and start flopping around like one of those big mouth Billy Bass, if anybody remember those. And that's pretty funny. So there's Brynshander. We have Caer Dineval right here. And they have the Knights of the Black Swords in this, which is a sketchy, like a kind of like a Assassin's Guild or something like that. I haven't read too much into it. Kadroth, Hethel Arkaran. She's got a little peg leg right there. Look at her. She's seen some stuff. Now, this book is about 320 pages, and you are going to get a lot for your money with this campaign. I mean, just look at the artwork. Look at that. And the Icewind Dale is just an absolute desolate place to try to live. The cold is so cold. It's like negative 90 something degrees there. Now this was, I read this chapter. This is a neat chapter that has these two Winterwolf brothers. And the Winterwolves brothers, they are, let's see, Corin and Kanan. And they play this little game with characters of life and death. They're little tricksters that take people to this frost giant ice lodge. And that you could turn this into, you don't necessarily have to go by the adventure book itself. You could sit here and turn any of these adventures and put your own spin on it. And it's supposed to be, this adventure book is supposed to be a horror themed adventure. So it has many Lovecraftian elements in it. Like there's a hag that is making a stew with the entrails of some of the denizens of the Icewind Dale. That's pretty terrifying, if I do say so myself. Now those secrets that I was talking about earlier, that's apparently a big, that's a big hook for this book. Those secrets, your player characters could do all kinds of things with that. Some of them might want to take their secrets to their grave, but some of the other ones, they might want to tell the other players or NPCs about their secret and build off of their own background with that. Now, I like this character. This is the Awakened White Moose, and it is the dreaded white moose of Lonelywood. It is a killer albino moose. And there's its stat block right there. You have an elven tomb here. There's some winter wolves. Some kind of druid right there. This is the chapter that deals with Targos. And they give you all of these different little maps right here. You could probably print these out on D&D Beyond. There's a Yeti. I think that might be an abominable Yeti. Not too sure. There's a huge section in this book that is also dedicated to the monsters that are in this. So this is almost kind of like buying another monster manual in and of itself. There's, I think, 60 something monster stat blocks in this. I like this ring, the Ring of Warmth. It's got 2 little ferrets or something. It has the fur on the inside. A lot of cool things that you can do with that. And there's a terrifying creature. I think that's called a grell. There's a kobold that has some wings. The Icewind Dale, you can just tell, is this horrible, horrible place. And you're gonna deal with a lot of elements of madness. There's one of my favorite characters in this book, Arveaturis, the White Worm, and its mysterious rider. And that rider was her wizard master and her best friend, and he died. And that is his corpse that is constantly riding on her back. And there are many different tables for encountering her. And you can run into frost giants that are riding woolly mammoths out in the wild. You apparently have reindeer that have lightsaber horns. That's pretty cool. One of my favorite things, the snowy owlbear to come out of this book. That is amazing. And one of the secrets is that you can possibly befriend and even tame snowy owlbears. And there's an ancient denizen of Icewind Dale that your player characters can utilize her to get around. It's Angajuk. And there's an entire section dedicated to befriending her and trying to utilize her to get around the 10 towns in Icewind Dale, because it's treacherous out there. There's so many different things that could kill you. A random blizzard with a herd of yetis in it, or maybe there's a hunting pack of frost giants that are bringing some of their young to hunt some white dragons, and maybe your player characters, they don't recognize it, but the ground starts trembling and you have them come into frame. Now this is an interesting chapter, and it deals more with that sci-fi element of horror, very Lovecraftian. There's a mind flayer nautiloid that has crashed within the ice right here. Some carrion crawlers have come out of there that were being used as pets by the mind flayers. And you actually have a section to where your player characters can go inside and meet the mind flayers that are within there. And there's this frost giant spirit, and you have all these different runes. And the mind flayers that actually crash in that ship are interesting because they are they're gnome mind flayers. You heard me right. A gnome mind flayer. Have you ever wondered exactly what it is that a mind flayer would look like if they took over a gnome's mind? Well, in this book, you have a gnome Ceramorph. And I am flipping pretty quickly through this book because, first of all, I don't want to give too much away. I just want you to kind of see some of it, and because I'm not going to sit here and just read through all of the different chapters and give away everything. That would take away from the fun. I'm just going to give you my quick little take as soon as we get to the end of it, because I've had some time to read through it. Not every bit of it, but I think that this is a fantastic adventure. This is an interesting chapter, Sunblight. You're dealing with this xenophobic Duergar called Zardarok. And Zardarok is the king of the underground in this, and he has been speaking to what he believes is his god, and that is him. And he is a Duergar, so he can grow his size, and he has been hoarding this magical substance called Chardalyn. And Chardalyn can be imbued with magic. It's this metal ice type of stuff, and it can be embedded with different types of magics. But little does he know that his hoard of Chardalyn has been imbued with black magics. It's been imbued with this dark energy, and it is causing him to go insane and xenophobic. And he just thinks that not only is everyone out to get him, but his followers, they believe that they are following the divine intervention of their deep god. And it is actually a demon that has been influencing them the entire time, posing as their god. And Zardarok builds this, the Chardalyn dragon. And he wants to lay waste to the 10 towns and Icewind Dale, and maybe even further beyond that point. And he wants to destroy everyone up top and bring his entire armies and his legions above ground. And once he leads them above ground, well, he's going to try to take over. And this is the chapter on Auril's, getting to Auril, the Frostmaiden. And she is constantly going to be throughout this book, not only just in the talks of all of the different NPCs, villagers, everything like that, but she is also going to try to interfere with the players on their way to ultimately fight her. She's going to put them through all kinds of trials and tests, especially when they get to her lair, which is right here. It's this giant skull. You're going to have to go through the Caves of Hunger. And in the Caves of Hunger, there is a disturbing secret that has been there waiting for years. And it is this right here. Now, that's one of its forms, but it is the Tekalili, which is a gnoll vampire that is going to stalk your player characters and try to kill them on their way to the Frostmaiden. And she kept him kind of as a pet. And we have the chapter Doom of Etherin here, and we have the Necropolis, which is another one of Auril's different layers. Now, within this book, you are basically going to fight the Frostmaiden in kind of a different way than you would different kinds of bosses. You're going to fight her in reverse. You're going to fight her kind of like you're going back in time. So you're going to fight her first form, which is the Cold Crone, and then you are also going to fight her second form, which is the Frostmaiden herself. Now, this is a cool magic weapon. It's the Living Blade of Disaster. It's a annihilation spell. It's basically a weapon that is a void. It's almost like a black hole that you can wield as a sword. It is super cool. It's like a tear in time itself. And it is one of the weapons that you are going to utilize to try and destroy Auril in her final form, which is this shard. It's this stone that her final form is something that you cannot fathom. It is very Lovecraftian in the way that they describe it, and the way that you can delve that out to your characters, telling them that she is a being, especially in her third form, that stone, that you cannot understand. And you can really play into those mind games, into the madness, into the cosmic horror element of it. Because she is an energy that you can basically kind of not destroy, almost like Pennywise. She could come back every winter, and this is something that your player characters are going to have to deal with at different times of the year, maybe. You also have different little trinkets that you can get within the adventure, and they give you the different stat blocks about that. This is the Appendix B that has all of the character secrets and exactly what it is that that's going to do. It ranges from funny to absolutely horrifying. So you have, like, one of these is a Dritz fan. So Dritz Do'Urden is, you're a super fan of him. And you have a piece of his cloak. And you're trying to keep that a secret, that you're this giant fan. Or you can be a pirate cannibal. You ate your entire ship crew. And who knows if you're going to turn on your party and try and eat them, or maybe turn into a Wendigo and cause a lot of different mayhem. Now we're into the monster manual part of the adventure. And first up, we have Avarice, which she is this albino tiefling. And she's a very powerful wizard. And she has these gargoyles that accompany her. You have Naslantamir's ghost, which she's an NPC in this adventure. Spoiler alert, she dies during the adventure, and you can play her as her ghost. You then have Velen Harpel. You have Aurel's first form, which is the Cold Crone. And, she's a terrifying looking monstrosity, but also Aurel is just super powerful. Reading all of her different abilities and understanding how to play this kind of a lesser god that can be anywhere and do anything within a realm and screw around with your players. This is her second form. Just raining down monsters onto your players, summoning blizzards randomly with her voice on the back of the winter wind. Telling your player characters that there is no hope for them. Here's her third form, and you can see that cosmic horror element that could play into it right there. Got a brain in a jar. We've got a Chartland Berserker, and we have the Chartland Dragon itself. Now, here is a little thing with the Chartland Dragon. It says on here that it is a huge construct. The actual miniature itself, its base, the ring on the inside, is gargantuan. And if you have not watched my unboxing of the Chartland Dragon itself, it is massive. It's gargantuan. So you can up the stat block on this if you want to play the Chartland Dragon, which I will, which is that it is a gargantuan creature. It is this massive, terrifying thing that is going to lay waste to all of the 10 towns. You have the Schwinga here. The Cold Light Walkers, which were based off of that box art, the poster of the Thing, so you could play that kind of element into it. You have Crag Cats here, Dorgar Hammerer, Dorgar Mindmaster, Zardarok Sunblight, the guy that makes the Chartland Dragon. You have Fox, Frost Druids, Frost Giant Skeletons. And if you are wanting to see, if you don't have miniatures of any of these, that's okay. D&D Icons of the Realms have released the Icewind Dale Rime of the Frostmaiden miniatures collection. And I have reviewed that entire set. We did a case unboxing. If you haven't watched that video, check it out in my channel. We pulled every single miniature from that set, and you can see what you need to run your adventure. Here's the Knoll Vampire, that Tekalili. We have a Goliath Warrior. You can be a Goliath Werebear in this. Maybe one of your player characters wants to go and find Oyamenar Tok, which is this polar bear werebear. and maybe one of your player characters wants to go and maybe fight that character. You have ice trolls, which sadly we did not get a miniature of that in the Icewind Dale minis. I know, but maybe you can find a ice troll miniature. There's not a whole lot of those out there, but you got hares, knucklehead trout, Icewind kobolds, and this is terrifying. You have the Icewind kobold zombie and vampire spawn. Imagine just a horde of 20, 30, 40 of these vampire kobold spawns that are just dying of hunger. You have living spells that go throughout the Icewind Dale. You have a Demos Mage, Galavan Magen, and a Hypnos Magen. And let's go ahead, flip to the next page. Here are the Mind Flayers. That's a Gnome Ceramorph and the Gnome Squidling. You have Mountain Goats and different characters, NPCs and their stat blocks. Bjornild Svalvigsdotir, very Nordic. Seal, Snow Golem. You have the Snowy Owlbear stat block, which is just your normal owlbear mixed with some elements like swimming speed of 30, and it is acclimated to cold weather. You could add more to that if you would like. You have the Sperm Whale stat block. There are also killer whales in this adventure and a miniature of it, so you can do with that what you will. Tomb Tapper, which is one of my favorite creatures from this book. It is absolutely terrifying, and we did pull the miniature of it. The Verbeeg Longstrider. These are interesting giant creatures that are very lanky and kind of dopey. You have the Walrus and the Giant Walrus. That'll be fun. You have the Yeti Tykes and the Yetis and the Abominable Yetis. And here are some of the magic items that you can get within the Icewind Dale. And there are some pretty powerful ones. And here you have the Rime of the Frostmaiden poem at the very end. And that wraps us up. And there's your afterword. And here is a map of the 10 towns that you can utilize and give your player characters if you want to. But that wraps up our flip through of the Icewind Dale Rime of the Frostmaiden, the newest campaign setting from D&D Icons of the Realms. As for my final thoughts for this adventure book, I think that it is a fantastic addition to all of our other campaign settings that we have received throughout the years from D&D. This is something that you don't see a lot, this horror-based kind of adventure, which I love. And I think that I'm going to add even more additions of horror elements into this. Maybe stuff like body horror, things that come from, that are inspired by more of the Thing or Lovecraftian elements in there. You could do so much with this adventure. Just the adventure itself is a fantastic first kind of game that you can play with your player characters. You can increase the stat blocks to accompany your higher level player characters if you all are wanting to jump in at a higher level. But if you're wanting to start off from level 1, head up to 11, I think this is a fantastic way to do so, especially since we are going into winter and we're also going into Halloween time. And what is a better way to do that than with a winter-themed horror campaign that you can utilize to terrify and torture your player characters with. So my final take is just buy it. This is absolutely worth the money, especially if you're wanting to have a terrifying time with your friends. So gamers, that wraps up my review and take on D&D's newest campaign setting, Icewind Dale, Rime of the Frostmaiden. This is an amazing adventure book, especially if you are looking to find some kind of maddening adventure that makes you feel isolated and absolutely terrifies you. I think this would be a great addition to any DM's collection. I wanted to thank each and every single one of you for for giving me your time here today. And I just wanted to say, hey, if you're not subscribed to the channel yet, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And if you're liking the content that we're putting out here, go ahead and drop a like as well. Thank you all so much for giving me your time again. And I wanted to say, be good out there, stay nerdy, and I'll see you in the next video.